Hey guys, hope you're all going good. This next video is about installing a bull bar on my Pajero. Now, I've been looking for one for quite a while. I used one for my 4th generation Exceed Pajero, and it's been hard to find one. I wanted a factory one and an alloy one. I didn't want a steel one, just because well, one, I didn't want to put too much extra weight on my front axle without having to upgrade my suspension. And secondly, from a lot of reading and research I've done recently, I'm getting a bit more unsure about the aftermarket steel bull bars. Just with they're good for animal strikes, but I'm not sure how well they handle in full-on collisions with other vehicles. Well, for one, they affect your handling and your braking distance with the car. Plus, they also slow down the airbag deployment time. And look, alloy ones are lighter. I think they're reasonably strong, and I think they should do. Even though it's not really designed to be a winch compatible one, I'm not going to put a winch on anyway, but I think this should do my job fine. It's a factory one, it's a Mitsubishi one, so that's really good. And fortunately, it is for my exact specific model. So I've got a 2007 NS Exceed, and as luck would have it, it is for that particular model. So I just bought it from a gentleman on Facebook Market. He had put on a steel one on his Pajero, MCC Falcon A-frame, so good for him. But yeah, it's in good condition. Yeah, there's no obvious sort of major scratches or sort of bumps or dents or bends or anything. It's in pretty good condition. It was a bit dirty. It still is a bit. I've given it a wash, and now I've just started on the process of polishing it, which, as you can see, I've just started here, and starting to look a bit better than the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and polish it fully. The compound that I'm using is something I got from Super Cheap Auto. Good reviews, and so far it seems to be working well. So I'll just go ahead, polish the bull bar, get it all ready, and then I will start on the installation steps. Alright guys, so I'm just done with the first bit of polish and the black plastic trim restore. Does look a bit better than when I first picked it up. For the black plastic, I used this wonderful product that I've used before. I think I've got a video up there on my channel somewhere about it. It's called Bowden's The Black Box, or Mr. Black. It's a really good product, and really brings up your black plastics, be it the bumpers or in this case the plastics on the bull bar, or even the rubber there at the top. I'm not sure if you're supposed to use it on the rubber, but I did it anyway. And yeah, it really does help restore the shine and the sort of black color to the plastic. Almost looks like brand new. So I'm just done with that. So I'll just have a bit of a break, and we'll sort of start again later in the day. Now that the bull bar is nearly ready to be put onto the car, I'll just have to go through the instructions one more time, and then start working on removing the nudge bar and the sporties and the UHF antenna from the Pajero, and then we'll start working on removing the bumper and the grille and whatnot, and putting in the brackets for the bull bar. So we'll just do that a bit later the day, and I'll make another video then and attach it to these. Okay, so now we are ready to start working on the car itself. We've got the bull bar all polished and ready. So the first step is to remove the nudge bar, the bumper, the grille, in my case these two spotlights, and a UHF antenna from the front of the Pajero. So what I'll do is I'll probably start with this particular grille here. It's just so I can get a bit more idea of how the wiring from the spotlights are passing through to the battery. So I think this should be, from what I can see, should be pretty straightforward. They're just these scrivets that you just need to put a flat-end screwdriver under. Let's take them all out. So looks like there's one here, second one here, another one here, and there's this one. So I think once I take these scrivets out, I should be able to get this grill out, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got the scrivets out. There were 7 of them in total. Came off pretty easily with a flathead screwdriver. The only other thing securing this this grill are those clips, these clips at the bottom. But what you do is, once you've got these scrivets out here from the top, you just pull the grill up and those clips will come off. So now the grill is loose. The only thing that's holding it is the wiring for these lights, which are cable tied onto it. So I'll just cut off the cable ties, and then we'll sort of get the spotlights off. And I think what I might be able to do is just unclip them from. Well, I'll cut the cable ties first, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've taken that grill off. This is what the front of the Pajero looks like now. Now the next step would usually be to just take the nudge bar off. It's not hard to take off. There's a couple of bolts underneath. There's one down there. It's next to the retrieval point or anchor, and one down here. So you just got to undo them, and there's a couple here. There's one down here, another one down here. But what I might do, and that's just because of the way this UHF antenna is secured to the nudge bar, I might undo these 2 bolts first, this one here and the other one there for the spotlights. And they'll allow me to get the spotlights off first, and just find a better way to have the antenna positioned as the nudge bar comes off. Otherwise it will just put too much strain on the wiring of the antenna, because the wiring is just going straight through the bumper and all the way through this sleeve to the inside, where I think it's connected to the UHF unit on the inside next to the passenger seat. So we'll figure out a way how to handle that when we take the bumper off, but I think for now we'll just take the spotlights off first, and just move the antenna away from the nudge bar and go from there. Okay guys, so taken the nudge bar off and disconnected the spotlights as well. Now with the UHF, I'm still at a I'm not sure how I'm gonna be able to remove the bumper and preserve the wiring of the UHF, which, as you've seen, they've just passed through this grill here. So I'm not sure what I'll do, how I'll manage it. Can't seem to think of a way to disconnect it from here. I mean, there might be a way which I'm not aware of. This nut seems to be welded on here. Maybe it's not. Maybe it will come off. But anyway, we'll get on to removing this section of the bumper. And to do that, there's one scrivet here, another one here, third one here, one bolt here, one second bolt here, and similar sort of configuration underneath when we remove the rest of the bumper. So one scrivet here, a bolt here, second bolt, and another scrivet there at the very end. So 2 bolts, 2 scrivets underneath, and that's what's securing this section of the bumper here. And the other section, the silver section in this car's case, is just the 3 scrivets at the top and these 2 bolts here, and that should be it. I'll probably need to pull off these guards or these flares to allow me to remove this. So I'll just go ahead, I'll undo this, and we'll try and remove this section of the bumper off. Okay, so we finally managed to figure out a way to get that UHF antenna out of the way. Essentially, what we did is we just managed to just make a bit more space. Just push the plastic up and down, and just pass the aerial back in through this grill, and just pull it back inside, and yeah, get the antenna out of the way. So the next step is to just undo the rest of the bolts to get the bumper off. Next to the front left headlight, 2 bolts here, these 2. Front right headlight, same thing, 2 bolts here, 1, 2. And section in the middle, in front of the grill and the fan, 2 bolts, 1 here at the top, 1 at the bottom. Might be better to do the bottom one first to allow the top one to anchor it. Take them out as well. You've got to pull off the guards. Just put your hand under it, just pull it off. They're just clips that come off, so just pull the bottom sort of 3 or 4 out. I think the bottom 3. That's all you'll need to get them out of the way of the bumper. So we'll just undo these bolts, and then we'll try and get the bumper off. Okay, so managed to take the bumper off finally. There's a few little sort of things to be aware of. One were those bolts that we discussed. So they were bolts that were holding the bracket, which is this particular bracket, that were attached to the bumper. So there's 2 bolts there that we previously looked at. 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, again holding the bracket. You will need to disconnect in this case because it's an Exceed. It's got headlight washers, and that's the hose that's sort of running with the water. So you will need to disconnect or take off these hoses from here. And there's a clip that secures them, so you just move the clip to the back from here. Just move it to the back, and just twist it off so it comes off this piece of plastic here. Same thing on the other side, that piece of plastic there. The wiring for the fog lamps clips to here. You just need to unclip it. So you will need to disconnect these. With the bumper itself on the sides, as we discussed before, you will have to move these flares or the guards out of the way. And there were a couple of bolts here. So there was actually a little screw here that I had to undo, and there was a similar one on the same side, so a corresponding screw on the other side. So I had to undo that to get the bumper out, and that's pretty much it really. These were the ones we saw before at the bottom. There's 2 bolts here and 2 scrivets there, and there's a similar sort of configuration here at the top with bolts and scrivets holding it. So just got to undo them, and then it just, yeah, it comes off. So here we are. It's getting a bit dark now, so I think we'll just shut shop for now. One last thing, this little wire for the horn, it attaches to or it clips on to the bumper as well. So just make sure you just sort of unclip it here, take this thing off before you pull the bumper off. So yeah, we'll just move this out of the way, just shut shop. Fortunately, it's not going to rain overnight, or you can park it in the shed or whatever, but it should be okay. And yeah, tomorrow morning we'll start working on putting the bull bar on. Good morning, guys. Here we are back at the Pajero, about to start installing the bull bar. So the first steps are to put these templates onto the chassis of the Pajero. So this is the one that goes on the outside, this one here, and this one here that I've already put in there goes on the inside of the chassis rail. So You're going to do both sides, so we're doing the driver side first. Now this one, you got to position it in this particular area. So as you can see, there's a 8mm hole here, which you've got to align with a pre-drilled hole here in the chassis rail. So you just gotta get it in here, just get it under this wiring here. Okay, so it actually sits snugly here, and then just gotta align it with that hole over there, and then secure it. Just put a little bolt through it or something so that it's secure over there. Once you've done that, you're going to drill 3mm holes, which will be interesting considering the lack of space here. But you got to drill 3mm holes through these little holes. There's 2 here, and there's a 3rd one there, and then you should be done with the template. So do this one on the outside. The one on the inside goes in here. As you can see, there's a little notch in here. It aligns with actually tiny notch here. So that's your alignment point on the inside of the chassis. So there you go. You got a line there, and then you're gonna drill the 2 3mm holes there, and then that should be it for this template. And then you're gonna repeat the process on the other side. So we'll just go ahead, find a way to drill these holes. Once you have drilled them to 3mm on both sides, you got to remove these templates and increase the size to 12mm in what they've recommended 3mm increments, but it's up to you. How do you want to do it? So yeah, we'll just go ahead and we'll drill these holes, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we're done with doing drilling the holes through the chassis. So 3 holes on the outside of the chassis rail on each side, the driver and the passenger side, and 2 holes on the inside using the template, all 12mm holes. It's 2 here, and there's 3 on the outside of that chassis rail as well. So it would help if you get cobalt tipped drill bits, high-speed steel. Will make your job a bit easier, because this is really strong steel, and yeah, it was a bit of a mission drilling through them without these particular drill bits. So, but yeah, it's all done now. Next step is to just deburr them a bit, use some sandpaper, and then just use a rust preventative, like maybe I'm going to use WD-40. So we'll just go ahead, tidy them up, add the rust preventative, and then we'll get on to the next step, which will be fixing the moldings under these lamps, and cutting the flares on each side to cut them down to the side for the bull bar. So we'll just go ahead, do this, and then we'll get on to the headlights. Okay, so we're done with the holes, rust protecting them and deburring them. Now the next step here is to just go under the headlights and remove this particular piece of black plastic on either side. There's 3 little screws that hold it. You just got to unscrew them, take the plastic off, and retain those screws for assembly. So we'll just go ahead and do that next. Alright, so once you've removed those 2 pieces of black plastic, you're going to use these 2 black plastic headlight moldings, one for each side, and you're going to put them under the headlamp in this position. So as you'll see, if you try to bring it up here, it sort of it will come to a natural alignment. So you got to position it there, and you got to close the gap, so make sure there's no gap between the headlight and the molding. And over here on the side of the guard, or the flare, you got to put a masking tape just above the edge of the molding there. So once you put the masking tape, you'll probably need someone to help you with this. Once you put the masking tape, you can take the molding off. Masking tape will probably somewhere be over there. And then you're going to measure 15 millimeter below the masking tape and cut the flare. So, and then you can obviously get rid of the masking tape. So we'll just go ahead and do this step. But yeah, just make sure you get someone to maybe help you and get your measurements right and have this thing aligned in a way that it fits properly over here, closing the gap between this and the headlamp. Okay, so just install the headlight moldings on both sides. So essentially the steps are to first remove that little black piece of plastic that we did earlier from under the headlight. Retain the screws, the three of them. The two of them we're going to need to put this molding on. Cut the flares, which we've done already. And then there's a bracket underneath this one here that attaches to this plastic black molding that you fit in two of the screw holes for that little black piece of plastic that was there. There's one little pre-existing black thin piece of plastic that sits in the middle. So that's one place where this molding is secured. The other place is using this stitch screw. So you're going to drill a hole in this white piece of plastic here and pass the stitch screw that they've supplied through this, and it screws into the back into the plastic molding there. The next one is once you've put it on, or it's the last one. Last step is yeah, you drill another 3 millimeter hole. This one is a 3 millimeter hole as well. You drill another 3 millimeter hole through the guard and put another stitch screw there, and that secures it there. Plus you're also supposed to put some double-sided tape between the flare and the molding, which we've done. Obviously I bought this used, so it didn't come with a double-sided tape, so I used mine, which of course was white. So I am planning to put some Mr. Black on it, maybe tomorrow, or once I put the bull bar. Then I'll try to sort of color this little tape black as well. But yeah, so that's all done on both sides, nice and secure. And so it's getting a bit dark now, so tomorrow we'll get back onto the attaching the brackets onto the chassis for the bull bar. One thing I forgot to mention previously when I was talking about making the holes in the chassis is for these two holes on the driver's side or the right hand side. If you're sitting in the car, you've got to remove this coolant pipe. So coolant pipe and panel sits here, and it comes right in the way of your drill if you're going to make those holes there. It's more like this. So it just, there's a few bolts here, you just remove them and you just put it back at the end. So just thought I'll mention that. So yeah, we're sort of, I think, more than halfway done here. Tomorrow we're just going to put the brackets on, and then yeah, put the grill on, put the bull bar on, and attach the headlight washers and the supply for the fog lights, and then got to put the sporties and the UHF aerial back on, and then just give it maybe sort of another polish if needed and restore the trim, including here with Mr. Black. So we'll just wrap up things today and we'll continue tomorrow. Morning, we're back again at the Pajero in pursuit of installing this bull bar. So this morning we're gonna try and put these steel brackets onto the chassis rail where we had previously drilled those holes. So we just got to mount them there. So the next step is to use this bolt plate, and there's two of them, one for each side. Essentially what we've got to do is come down here, and this hole here under the rail, you got to slide the, well, you got to go in this way and then sort of rotate it as you go in. So you're going to move this bolt plate through this hole here until it gets to the inside of the chassis rail in there, and that's that's tricky. Once you got it in there, you got to maneuver it using, probably, unless you've got really small hands, probably just one finger through that hole in here, so that these two bolts from the inside, they come outwards. Now before you do that, just make sure that you try to fit it in, because when I did initially, it just wasn't fitting through these two pre-drilled holes, because the holes, as much as I had tried, were not perfectly lined up for the ball plate. So I did have to enlarge my holes a bit, which is fine, only by 1 millimeter or so, and then just make sure that the plate, it fits in, because no point of doing all the hard work to sort of maneuver it from inside out only to find it won't fit in these holes. So what I might try and do is that I've got a bit of twine here. I'll tie it to these two bolts, and then see if it helps me pull it out through the holes on the outside. So I'll give it a go. Once you've got it, essentially it will be like this, like the plate will be on the inside, but these two bolts will be sticking out through these two holes. Then you've got to put this bracket, which is the outside bracket. You've got to put it in here. You just have to move it under this wiring. Yeah, so you'll have to put it in here and just tighten it with sort of nuts that they've supplied. So we'll just go ahead, do this step, and go from there. Okay, so here we are. Managed to get that bolt plate in, and have the two bolts sticking out through those two holes. As you can see, I have put the outside mounting bracket on top of it, passed through the washer, the locking nut, and the nut. You don't tighten it, you're not supposed to tighten it too much initially, just to allow you a bit of space to or a bit of room to maneuver this mounting bracket as you're fitting the inside bracket in, which is the next step. So this is the inside bracket that you've got to align with these two bolts here that are part of the outside bracket. Plus you got to align it with the two holes that you've drilled in the inside of the chassis rail. Once you've done that, you pass this long bolt, this long M10 bolt that they provided, through the top hole of the outside bracket, and you got to bring it out through the top hole on the inside bracket. So that's what holds the top of the inside bracket. Just make sure once you're done, just push it all the way in, and then again put some washers and nuts on the other side. And then you're going to use this particular curved bolt plate that they've supplied, and you got to again pass it through this hole here, and you've got to bring it through the bottom hole here of the inside bracket, and that's what secures it in place. So it'll take a little bit of maneuvering, but yeah, you can do it, and then you've got to tighten it as well. So we'll just go ahead, finish it up on this side, and then we'll repeat the process on the other side. Okay, so done with the two brackets on both sides. So this one here, so two M10 bolts with the locking nut, washer, and the nut here. One long bolt passing through the top holes of the two brackets. These two need to line up, so you need to line the outer and the inner chassis brackets. The groove on the inner chassis bracket needs to sit inside this bolt on the outer chassis bracket. So just make sure you line them up as you're putting them in. The lower bolt of the inner chassis bracket secured by a bent or a sort of a folded bolt plate that they had supplied. So same thing here on this side. I did have to, as said before, extend the holes a bit further, but that's okay. Just deburr them again with some sandpaper and put some WD-40 for rust protection. This one's done as well. Now it's just a matter of just sort of putting things back, putting the sort of mud guards or the tire guards back. Going to put this this metal bit next. This one just goes in there. See these two holes here? That's where we took it off. Gonna put the horn, the little clip that attaches the horn, back into here, and then we'll need to put the grill back. So we'll just put this one back next and put the grill back and go from there. Okay, so the front grill is back on. Put the scrivets back in. One of my scrivets had gone walkabout, so I just put a little nut and bolt here just to make sure that this grill is not going to go anywhere. So pretty much ready to put the bull bar on now. Just have a bit of an idea with the fog lights, if you got fog lights and headlight washers, as to how they're going to fit in configuration with the inside of the car. Once you got it configured, you do need to remove the two overriders at the front, because what happened is that these two holes on the bull bar, they're going to take those two bolts on each side from the brackets, and you need the overriders off to put the nuts on those two bolts. So just go ahead, remove them first, and then we'll just put the bull bar on and tighten those nuts, and then we'll just adjust it and put the spotlights and the UHF antenna afterwards. So you might need someone to give you a hand while one person holds the bull bar up, the other one can put the nuts in. So we'll just go ahead and do this next. So we put the bull bar on. Essentially, as I said, you've got to take the rubber overriders off from both ends. And when you take them off, you will see these two holes. These are the holes that the bolts that are coming out of the brackets that are attached on the chassis, they go through these holes. So two on each side. So essentially you slot them so it goes in these holes. Just make sure it's sort of nice and centered. There's not much space between the headlight moldings and the headlights and the bull bar. Yeah, then you tighten them. One thing that I should have done before I put it on, which I did after, wasn't too big an issue, but in my case I should have put the spotlights on before I put the bull bar on, because once I put it on, then to put the nut underneath I had to sort of go from under and secure the nut on the bolt. So but yeah, it's done, it's not a big deal. And also in my case, just I had to make sure that the UHF antenna is sitting up in the right way to be ready for its spot on the bull bar. So yeah, you just tighten the nuts and make sure you tighten them to the specifications mentioned in the manual in terms of Newton meters. So get a torque wrench, tighten them, and then you go back underneath and just make the connections, the ones between, in my case, the fog lights and the electrical lead and the headlight washers and the hose for the headlight washers and the ones for these spotlights. So just hook them back up and yeah, cable tie them so they're nice and secure, and also tighten the brackets further. So yeah, once you got the bull bar on, you go back and you tighten the bolts on those brackets further, those 10 bolts. So 3 on the outer bracket on the chassis, 2 on the inner bracket on the chassis on each side, so 5 on each side, 10 in total. So yeah, just tighten them further again to the specifications mentioned in the manual, using a torque wrench, and that's pretty much it. So I just got to put the overriders back on. In my case, I've got to put a bash plate back on as well. I took it off while I was making the connections. Yeah, just connect the UHF, and I think that should be it. So just go ahead and do that. I might give these headlight moldings a bit of a Mr. Black, but yeah, I'll probably wash the car first anyway, and then once everything is done, we'll make another video, see how it's looking. Okay guys, that's it, that's all done. So that's the bull bar there. Put everything back on, connected everything, put the UHF antenna back on, the Sporty's number plate, hooked up the fog light electric supply and the headlight washers, everything. Put the bash plate back on, and yeah, it's looking beautiful. It's looking nice. I mean, it's not 100% perfect in terms of sort of the fitment, even though it's for this exact model, but I mean, bull bars never are 100% perfect when they replace the factory bumper, but it's pretty close. So yeah, that's it. So there you go. That's the Mitsubishi Pajero 4th generation custom factory alloy bull bar install. You can do it on your own. You don't need to pay someone $500 or $1,000 to do it for you. Yes, it will take 2-3 days, and yeah, you will need some tools, and just make sure that if you get it used or secondhand, you do get all the brackets and bolts and whatnot and everything, because if you don't, then yeah, you might be in a bit of trouble. But yeah, no, I was fortunate that the person I bought it from was really good, and he sold me everything. So yeah, that's it, done. Thanks for watching. It's looking good. It's quite sturdy. Nothing's moving. Hopefully nothing ever does. And that's it. Hope you liked this video and it helped you. If it did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.